It's a beautiful day here in North Carolina where we now live. Everybody's out here enjoying what we like to call the second Christmas day, the day after the primary day that people celebrate Christmas, the 25th. It's the 26th of December. The sky is blue and everyone's out mowing lawns and pruning trees, and well, they're doing it while they can because there's been a lot of rain since we got here and quite a bit of snow. And it's been amazing even to me now, after this many weeks, to realize that we live in North Carolina. All of those years in Texas, and suddenly here we are in North Carolina. A wonderful, huge move. And when you move, you have to do a lot of packing and unpacking. Most of us have had that experience. And you know, you put things into boxes when you pack and you think, why am I even putting this in there? But it's faster. When you unpack, you have to use a different process. You have to think, do I want this? And the answer so often is really no, I don't. Why did I bring it? And actually, I was thinking that when I pulled this out, this item, this is, if it looks like to you an old, waterlogged, wrinkled up piece of poster board, it's because that's exactly what it is. But there's a little bit more behind the story of this. Because this poster board that, again, when I unpacked it, I nearly tossed immediately into the trash basket, is a testament in a way to the power of what laughter can do when learning gets tough. Now, learning is always a bit of a challenge, but when you have tedious material, difficult material, whether you're learning or teaching it, you can get to kind of a point where you can't get across. And this poster is sort of testament to one way to get across that obstacle. It goes back to years and years ago at SMU, where I was a music history professor, and I had a wonderful student horn player from, I believe, originally Pennsylvania. He's now grown and a professional musician and teacher. But at any rate, then he was my graduate student, very kind fellow, very good musician. And he, like his colleagues, had to be in my music bibliography class. Music bibliography is a traditional name for that course. At SMU, it was called Intro to Grad Studies. That sounds simple, doesn't it? Like, oh, whatever that is, something simple. Well, it was never simple. Music bibliography is a tough, traditional study of research materials and the intellectual thought that got any particular discipline to the point it is today. So we had to look at a lot of old things. You know, the scholars of all the way back to ancient times, and people who wrote the initial encyclopedias and made the initial music editions, and learned about the old instruments and what we call performance practices. And a lot of it was very interesting. A lot of it was very tedious, especially for people who would much rather be, to be honest, down in the practice room or in rehearsal or playing, you know, in the orchestra or giving choral concerts or singing on the opera stage. No, they had to be in my class, okay? So we were doing some very tough units there in the middle, right before midterms, as I recall, and one of them was on music dictionaries. Music dictionaries, so that sounds exciting, doesn't it? Well, music dictionaries were very important in the way they developed. And they developed a certain amount in ancient times, the idea of defining musical terms, and then they kind of got a push in the medieval, late Renaissance period. And then there's kind of a gap. There's some things, but nothing like what will sprout out when you get into the 18th century or the very late 17th century. And in scholarship, a lacuna is what we call a gap. It goes back to the Latin term for hole or hollow or pond. It's where something isn't. And that's really what a lacuna is in scholarly terms. It's where there's a gap. Maybe the material got burned up in a cathedral fire. Maybe it never got written. Maybe we don't know where all those books or editions are. But there's a gap. So we were talking about the lacuna in music lexicography. And that'll get everybody's attention, won't it? At any rate, and it was tough. And then that lacuna breaks, as I told you, and there's sort of a lot of activity. And one of those people who started writing music dictionaries was Rousseau. Yes, the same Rousseau you know through Voltaire, Diderot, 18th century Enlightenment figures. Rousseau was very involved in music. He was a composer. He wrote about music, and he wrote actually a dictionary of musical terms. It's sort of hard to believe, very modern for its time. Okay, so all of that being what it is, you have to sort of get the image of these grad students, you know, learning this Latin and French and German terminology and this and that and the dates and all this. And it was right before that midterm, I walk in and I found this poster on the chalk rail. There it was in front of the board, and people were just waiting to see what my reaction would be. Creatures from the Black Lacuna. And in this creature's hand was the Rousseau Dictionary of Music. Well, I just cracked up. I mean, I don't remember when I've laughed harder. It was so clever. It was so funny. And I happen to know that this particular student was good with, you know, making kind of doodles and cartoons, leaving them, to make people, to get a message across or make people smile. And I will, as I say, to this moment, I can remember I was laughing, everybody was laughing, the spell was sort of broken, and suddenly we could see, yes, this is difficult, yes, this is kind of unpleasant, yes, we wish we didn't have to be doing this, but we do, so let's do it. And we left this whole poster up through the midterm exam, and we brought it back out at the final exam. And I kept it for years and showed it to classes, and obviously I used to try to take better care of it, and then it finally got folded, and then it's gotten water on it, and now it's in North Carolina. Well, I don't know. I don't think I can throw it away yet, because you just never know when learning's going to get tough again, where I will need to be pushing through something I'm trying to learn, or helping somebody push through something that person is trying to learn, and I might just need to pull out the creature from the Black Lacuna so that we can all have a good laugh, and we can remember that we are given the abilities to learn. We need the patience, we need the consistency, we need the sense sometimes of encouragement, we need a sense of what we're working towards. We need all of these things, but sometimes the things that makes all of that work together is a good laugh. So I hope you find your own creature of the Black Lacuna, and I hope when you dig in boxes you find things that bring back as good a memories as this one is. That's my story for today. See you soon.